That's ridiculous for a quarterback. And to say this further, they were trying to get rid of the ball in 2 seconds. Like it was all quick passing game.
Wow. And still he was getting hit.
And he was getting hit. They were providing no resistance whatsoever. They were like the French against the Nazis. Like it was just welcome to Paris. Take our women in perfume. That's what it was. It was absurd.
There's a couple things happening over there in Colorado with Deion and the squad.
None of them involved blocking pass rushers.
So you have the really bad offensive line. Then you have Colorado slipping, keep losing. You also have the jury heist.
The second of Deion's coaching tenure.
Becoming quite a reoccurrence here.
He's leading the category 2-0 over every football coach ever.
Lead the league, man. Unfortunately, right?
One of the all-time greats in locker room violations.
What do you? I know you're not a storyline person, but what is like the biggest thing hovering around Deion in Colorado right now? What is the biggest story
I watched
right
the
now?
UCLA game, in its entirety, and it was pathetic.
Yeah.
That offensive line is so freaking bad. I don't know if I've seen a worse offensive line. And it was to the extent that Colorado couldn't execute any offense, like whatsoever. After the first probably scripted drive, they basically had to go to just throwing like stuff like less than 2 seconds. Just, hitch, get rid of the ball. If they held the ball for any duration of time, he got hit. He got hit like at one point in the fourth quarter, he'd been sacked like 6 or 7 times, hit like 18 or 19 times. That's ridiculous for a quarterback. And to say this further, they were trying to get rid of the ball in 2 seconds. Like it was all quick passing game.
Wow. And still he was getting hit.
And he was getting hit. They were providing no resistance whatsoever. They were like the French against the Nazis. Like it was just welcome to Paris. Take our women in perfume. That's what it was. It was absurd. I felt bad for that team. It was that bad. It was embarrassing. And I'm saying this as a Florida State fan. And 4 or 5 years ago, our line was a laughingstock. This was virtually worse. I don't know where they go from here, and I'm concerned because the obvious thing is, it's Deion. Let's we'll just hit the portal and get some new linemen. You can theoretically. There's no impediment to that, and you could position and say we've got all these nice skill people. Come block for us, and we go to another level pretty quickly. But if you can't play basic football, like execute anything, like this could get really ugly over the next few games. He might have a decision to make where he takes Shedeur out. Because it's not sustainable for him to be hit 15 to 20 times over the next 5 games.
Yeah, because these guys are not going to get considerably better for the rest of the season.
Now, scheme-wise, I mean, like, I don't know what you could do scheme-wise. Throughout the game, they basically continue to be, 4 wide, 5 wide, very spread, and just taking a beating. I mean, they could go to some different protections, keep some more people in, and try and bolster that, put fewer people in the route, but try to get routes where you can block long enough to let the route evolve. So that's a possibility. They have to make some changes, though, because once you're in a situation where they know you're going to have to throw in 2 seconds, like they could just load up and attack that.
Yeah.
That you don't have any options. Once they kind of catch on, well, you ain't doing anything else. We're good. We're just going to go downhill at you and hit the snot out of your receivers catching hitches and, bum rush you at the quarterback spot.
Exactly.
Now, to Deion's credit, a couple things I'll say. As bad as it was, the team didn't stop playing. Actually, in the fourth quarter, they did put together a drive and score. There was a period of time where, I think they might have been able to get back in the game. They caused several turnovers. I mean, UCLA fumbled the ball a bunch of times and stuff. So they competed for the 60 minutes except for the offensive line, and that's a credit to coaching. because it's easy when things are going bad for people to give up, drop effort, and it all goes to hell. So he did have them engaged enough to keep competing. And I will say this about Shedeur. I didn't see like him bitch at anybody.
Yeah.
I did not see him with a lot of bad body language. Now, I mean, you're picking yourself up the floor and you're in some pain, and there were periods of time when he was limping and gimpy. I get that, but that's not the body language I'm talking about. He was not hanging his head. He was just going back there, doing his job and taking the hits. And he put in a grown man professional performance, and that's not going to be reflected in the stats or obviously the win column. But that kid hung in there and was a man.
Yeah.
And I all credit to him for that.
No, you have to. Yeah, you have to respect that, man. It's the whole country. We all know the offensive line is awful, and he's getting hit a ton. And like you said, man, he keeps picking himself back up, getting back in. Body language is great. He's not berating anyone on the sideline like Tom Brady would, even though Tom Brady
is his mentor.
Yeah. So he didn't pick that trade up, but yeah.
Sometimes, man, as the mentor, though, you can give the better advice.
Yeah.
Like you could give a person the benefit of your knowledge, and you can also give them the benefit of what you did wrong or what you'd rather not have done. And so maybe Tom's, telling him, hey, you don't need to break this many, clipboards or whatever, the iPad things on the sideline that I did or whatever. But yeah. But big picture, this has a whole different feel than it did a month ago.
Yeah.
And, literally Deion was the story of college football and controlling things. If they don't find a way to get more competitive and it's all centered on the blocking, like they could lose out. They could be like 4-8 with a string of dismal performances.
And imagine how they started out.
Yeah. And like there's not going to be many celebrities, for game 12 when you're 4-7 going in. And the currency of Deion, he still has a great charisma to him, and there's still a lot to sell in Colorado, because if we get winning, you saw what that can be like. We can own this thing, and it's true. But he's got to be able to get better in the trenches. He's got to do it immediately, which means to me the portal, not recruiting guys. You got to get in the portal and get guys that are ready to come and block.
Pause on that, because I can't imagine. First of all, when you watch the portal from everybody transfers every position, but you don't see a ton of good offensive linemen into the portal. First, I think for several reasons. Number one, I think I don't think offensive linemen are typically like wired that way. Because for the reasons you would transfer is like, A, you're not getting opportunity, or B, like, a coach maybe lied to you or something, or like, another guy is coming that proceeds to be better, or whatever the case may be, and teams, in these colleges, I think they're really they hunkering down on these offensive linemen. They really need them. Like they can replace this 4-5, 4-4 guy, receiver, running back. You see a cornerback. You see a ton of those into the portal because they're kind of more easily replaceable.
I would kind of at Florida State we had 4 this year.
Yeah,
we brought in 4.
Are they starting?
Most of rotational starters.
Yeah,
we haven't started everybody the same line, but we got a kid from Colorado that started most of our games. We got a guy out of Auburn, and the guy out of Colorado, he's one of those like kind of bright guys. I heard him get interviewed. He talks like he's like 35 years old. I think he looked at it. He had 1 year of college football to play, and he didn't want to be in a transition. And he didn't know what this was exactly going to look like. And he had an opportunity to come to Florida State, which the team figured to be good. And I just want to be in that situation. The guy at Auburn kind of like lost his spot, but was available. But he could still play. And then the one guy one of the guys we got is a guy that I think he was at like UTEP. But he has good measurables. He looks like he might have a chance to play at the next level. He's not like a first round guy necessarily, but I think he looked at it and it was like, okay, I got to show people I can play at this higher level, and maybe that's my gateway to the NFL. That's what happened with our defensive end Jared Verse. He was at Albany, and he's like, I'm killing it here, but can I kill it at one of the bigger schools? He went in the portal, and all the big schools courted him, and we ended up getting him, and now he's basically a first-round projection. So I don't fully agree with the point you're making. I think that you can target linemen, and again, if he plays it right, you're still with that thing of like, hey, if we get this going, like, look what it looks like, and you show those first couple games. Yeah,
you named 4 rotational starters, but they need like 7.
They do.
They need a offensive line. They need a starting offensive line. Then they need rotational guys. These guys, they don't even seem good enough to block from a reserve standpoint.
Right.
You don't want these guys on the field.
I agree with you, but you have to
so much. That just seems like a lot to fuck. And I know it's not from a literal standpoint. You're not going to fucking get 8 linemen in a portal period. I know you're gonna have to mix in some freshmen or best case scenario and things like that. But what I'm saying is that's a lot to fucking ask for, and you do need it next year.
I get it, but if there's any time that could happen, it's now. You could get. I think you could get 5 linemen because and again you're offering immediate playing time with an NFL caliber quarterback and some NFL caliber skill guys.
And let me make sure I'm fully clear. And I'm talking about 5. He's going to get 5, 6, 7, 8 linemen. He's going to get it. I'm not saying he's not. Yeah. What I'm saying is, are they going to all of them going to be any good? How many schools are really letting go? Good offensive linemen every single year.
You've
even if Florida State called a fucking hand in the handbasket. I'm saying
but at this point, like again, you're not going to go. You have to be realistic at what's going on. You're not going to go from where you are to Michigan, Alabama, or Georgia offensive line.
Yeah.
It's not happening. Take that off the board.
Okay.
But can we get good enough in that area that we can compete and play football, execute normal plays? That's the objective. So but it goes to Deion again, because what's the timeline on all this? I still think he's gone after next year when Shadur goes. We talked off the air. If he doesn't get it going in Colorado, like the potential of moving into the NFL as a head coach kind of gets a little bit of water on it. And it doesn't look as appealing or it doesn't look as feasible. But I still think you're looking at this timeline where he's probably going to go, when Shadur goes. And I think it was very revealing to me. A day or two after this UCLA fiasco, he had a social media post, and it was basically in praise of his 2 sons. Not the whole team. Not we're standing by my guys. It was a very focused dad post, which he has every right to make. I'm not criticizing that he did it. I'm saying it's revealing of what his thoughts are. And that's what you got to put that in context. Make no mistake, he is a dad first and Colorado coach after that.
Yeah.
And you're fooling yourself if you're not accepting that reality.
No, I think I think that's facts. And I'm in lock and step there. I can't see him coaching past next season.
Yeah. 2 follow-ups on the thing. Like, you're 100% right. You have to get the right guys in the portal. There's going to be guys available. If you're desperate or you bite at the wrong guy or you don't do your homework, you're not going to help your football team. And there's plenty of that's happening. But you got to target the right guys and make it count for sure. And then the other thing that we did not discuss, which may be a massive issue here, is the OL line coach. I don't know who that guy is, but you can't say he's doing a good job. So there may also be a move at that position that can change. And that can be massive. Mm-hmm. I mean, if there's a guy, and you can look at the Colorado team and like you lose 4 out of 5 games lately and probably heads are down and things are pretty mopey. But you can micro-focus on that offensive line room, and that thing might be stage 4 cancer. Like they may be tuning that guy out. They may be embarrassed to even take. There's a whole lot of scenarios of how bad that room could be that we don't know without being in there. And so a change at that spot and a rehabbing and building character. Offensive line coaches are very interesting. They're very critical. But they can be they're a little bit different because again, they work with guys that are not high profile per se. Offensive line play, when it's done right, is a very cohesive 5-man thing. And I think that there's like every position group has its things, but that offensive line, you got to cultivate like a brotherhood and really build skill.
Yeah.
You can have the measurables and this and that, but if you don't build skill and technique, you're not going to get the job done.
No, that's true.
And so I think I would expect a coaching change in the offensive line room. I would expect at least 5 portal guys, maybe some freshmen as well. I'm not ruling that out. But they've got to nail that. It's critical to the sustenance of this program and the momentum that they started to build, but now they're probably losing to a degree.
What if Peyton is not getting what he's feeling like he should get in Texas? Pops in that Porter himself.
I don't know. It could be. I haven't brought it up. Haven't discussed it with him. But there's. The reality is there's like a lot of guys, and you take. There's a lot of reasons to go in the portal. And I know when we talked to Peyton, and I'm not suggesting this is going to happen. That's not my place for it. But the guy that was the left tackle was only a year ahead of him and was a really highly regarded guy, a guy that apparently has some draft currency. And you could look at this and say, well, yeah, hey, I haven't gotten the field a lot now. If he stays, which he has to stay for a third year, I'm not going to get in the field again. At what point do I dig in and play some college football? So, and that's where you can potentially get some talented guys. There's a lot of reasons people can transfer.
Yeah.
And, so I look at it optimistically, go get what you want. But hell, I'm a Florida State fan, and we've done great in the portal. We've done, literally fucking amazing.